Hello and welcome to another amazing edition of Begone here at Spotlight Indie, where we have another few amazing indie authors on to tell us the kind of things that they hate and they wish weren't here anymore and they wish to make them be gone. So we have with us the spectacular Steven McKinnon, the amazing Alex French, and the wonderful Willow Woods with us. So I will let them introduce themselves to you in just a second, and then we will start playing. We've got 3 rounds to get through of different kinds of things that people want to make be gone. And then I, as the high arbiter of truth and justice of all time, will pick a winner from each round. And then the overall winner gets to pick a trope to banish from the world entirely. So without any further ado, let's just dive straight into the introductions. As is my wont, I'm going to go clockwise for the people that I can see on the screen. So Stephen, would you like to introduce yourself and tell everybody about your lovely self and your lovely books?
Hi, Alex. Thank you. I'm Steven McKinnon. I'm an indie fantasy author from Glasgow. I've got one completed trilogy out at the moment called The Raincatcher's Ballad. And my current series is ongoing. I suspect that'll be more than a trilogy. You can see the last one here, coincidentally, right in front of the camera. So I've been an indie author for 10 years, give or take. Still fun, still dynamic, still hate marketing like every indie author. Looking forward to this. Thanks for having me.
Oh, pleasure to have you as always. Alex, would you like to tell everybody, not this Alex, that Alex French, would you like to tell everybody about yourself and your books?
Yes, Alex. Thank you, Alex. I'm Alex French. I'm also an indie author. I have written one book. It is here. Please go and buy it. No one has. I'm trying to write comedy fantasy. I don't know how good I am at that, so buy it and find out. And just because I want to say buy my book one more time, buy my book. And I'm just glad to be here.
Oh, again, we're glad to have you. And you said no one's. I've bought your book, so there's at least hopefully one sale that's gone through. We'll try and pump those numbers up so everybody else please also go and buy Alex's book, and that works 2 ways with all the Alexes here as well as the Stevens and Willows. You should buy all their books.
If combined we've sold 1 million books by the end of the show, I'll donate some money to charity.
Snap.
I won't. I'm keeping mine.
Willow, would you like to introduce yourself and your books for everybody, please?
So I'm Willow Woods. I write standalone fantasy fiction, which I have out of reach because why not? So I have a traditional fantasy and a dark vampire fantasy. I'm hopefully working on what was meant to be my first trilogy, but it might get cut down to a duology. So we'll see how that goes, but that should hopefully come out in the next year or 2, maybe, if I can finish it.
Fantastic. So lots of lovely books for people to go run out and buy immediately. Pause this video, go buy all those books, come back and finish the video. Excellent. So as I say, this is Begone, where we're going to ask everybody to give on a certain topic, give something they would like to make begone of that thing. So the round 1 is something from real life, where our contestants are going to choose something from their non-writing life to banish forever. So it might be something serious like early morning traffic, which can be pretty serious, or something silly like paper aeroplanes. So I'm going to keep going around vaguely clockwise, but this time I'm going to start with Alex, if we may. So Alex, what would you like to make begone from real life?
Right. Well, wheels within wheels and machinations upon machinations, which is almost one of the titles from my book. After telling everybody to go and buy my book, the thing from real life I want to banish is money. If there's no money, there's no crime. You want bread, you go to somebody who likes making bread and they make you some bread. If you want a PS5, Sony sends you a PS5 because Sony like making PS5s. If people want a book, I'll write them a book and give them a book. People get whatever they want. Nobody needs to work to pay the bills. Civilization might move a little bit slower, but we'll probably extend it for a lot longer. And admittedly, we might all have to pitch in on a rota basis to do some of the crappier jobs in life.
That is a very strong and decisive opener for tonight, for this episode. Interesting as well that it comes. I've been reading in the past couple of weeks into the solar punk genre, and that is, about sort of positive near future and kind of hopeful speculative fiction. And one of the things that appears in that is a lack of capitalism or money, so that people can just exist and do the things that they want to do. Although maybe, as you say, pitch in on some of the, might have to have some sort of volunteer rota system for the jobs that nobody really wants to do. Yeah, like my washing up, for example. That would be great. Very small up now. Willow, what about you? What would you like to make Begone from real life?
Right, so I don't know if this one can count, because it's something that technically doesn't exist, but if you banished it, it would exist. So I would like cats and animals not being able to talk to be gone.
Okay, we've gone a bit of an existential route here. Okay.
So I've got like 3 beautiful, lovely kitty cats, and it's really stressful when they get sick because you don't know. Yeah. Okay, do you need a trip to the vets? Are you okay? Like, are you just being a bit of a diva, or are you genuinely sick? Because it stresses them out as well as stressing me out having to take them to the vets. And then when you do take them to the vets, you get charged a lovely amount of money because there's no NHS for pets, to find out no, they're fine. So we had our cat Thorn a few months ago kind of lost his voice, which is amazing because he doesn't really have much of a voice to begin with. So they thought he swallowed a grass blade, so he had to go under sedation, had to be scanned, everything, and it turned out he'd swallowed it. So I was like, oh, thanks, you've cost me all this money. Whereas if you'd just been able to talk, we could have figured it out.
Yeah, I can definitely sympathize with that. Although I think I've managed to avoid the paying for like vet services when actually it's fine. But I've definitely, there's definitely a good few moments every week where I look at my dog, like, I don't know what you want. Like, you're just whinging at me, and I don't understand what the problem is. Like, you've got water, you've got food. We've been out for a walk. I don't know what you need from me, so I can.
What do you want from me?
Exactly. You're struggling when I'm trying to cuddle you. I don't understand what the problem is. Okay, that's another story. I'm enjoying the breadth of these things as well. Stephen, what about you? What's your real life gripe to get rid of?
Definitely not quite as weighty as the other thing, but my real life gripe is escape rooms. For most people being rubbish at escape rooms. I like the concept. I like that there's often a story. I like lateral thinking. But when I've done it, it's been in a group and people tend to just shout over each other when they've got a clue that may or may not be related to that person's clue, and it's just all of a bit of a tangle. I suppose if there was like a real life pause button, like maybe if you're playing Resident Evil and you pick up a random key that you're sure will open a door that opens a treasure box, that opens another door, all whilst fighting zombies, that's all great fun. But in real life, when there's a time limit, that's much more stressful than fighting zombies in a big scary mansion. That being said, I'd quite happily pay good money to watch other people do it and sabotage them from a distance. I'm sure there's a video on YouTube of an episode of The Crystal Maze, but you can hear the production crew's commentary. Really? They're laughing at the contestants when they mess up all the puzzles and stuff like that, and I'd be well up for doing that. But yeah, secretly I'm just rubbish at escape rooms, and I think I would enjoy it more if I was any good at them.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm immediately writing that down to go and find that episode of The Crystal Maze once we're finished, if I can. Do you not think? I mean, I guess you've got that. Would you not find it frustrating if you were watching it and you figured out the puzzle and they're just dancing around it? Although I suppose you can feel that frustration whether you're watching it or inside the room.
Yeah, that's true. As a player, I don't think I would ever figure out a puzzle before anybody else. But yeah, certainly watching it from a distance, or if you're part of the crew watching and it seems so obvious to you because you probably helped build it. Yeah.
Okay, that's 3 very strong openers. I'm enjoying that we started off with money as an entire concept and we've ended at escape rooms, but just the range is lovely. I think Right, so we've got money, we've got non-talking animals is the way that I've concisely written that down, and escape rooms. I think almost purely for the whimsy and the, I don't know, the fantastical elements of it, I may have to begone non-talking animals so that maybe they can, I don't know, also help fight capitalism, and we can get rid of with like a better version of Animal Farm with that. So we'll mark that as a point for Willow for that one.
Great. And my dog can shout at me in English as well as bark.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. Well, unfortunately, I've made my decision. It's already begun, so it's too late now. The animals can talk. Okay, if we'll move on from real life, as much as that is real life, to writing life. So we're going to choose an aspect of the writing process that maybe you wish was easier or better or just like more fun. So this time, Willow, can I start with you for something that you might like to make begone from the writing process?
Constantly forgetting ideas. So like when you're just about to drift off in the middle of the night and you get an idea, people are always like, oh, have a notebook or write it in your phone. But I obviously wear glasses, so I don't sleep in them. So I can't see it at all when I'm not wearing them. So if I get an idea at 3 a.m, I'm like, I'll remember this. And I don't. And it's so much flaff to like find where my glasses have been knocked off during the night to just see to type on my phone. Or if I do just try and do like blind typing, reading it the next morning, I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I can definitely sympathize with that. I think we probably all sympathize with that a little bit. The element of like, no, I'll remember that. And then I don't know, 2 days later, be like, that idea was really good. I'm sure it was really good. And I cannot remember what it is now.
What was it?
Exactly. Okay. That's strong opener. Stephen, what about you from writing life?
I dare say other authors have said this before, but the marketing side I find very draining, very exhausting. Or maybe more specifically, the testing side of marketing. So if I knew in advance that like a Facebook ad would be a winner, like, well, that's a good image, that's a good text, whatever else, I'd probably spend more time creating them than writing books if I knew that people were going to respond to it and enjoy it. But it's the testing, takes money to test, and it's very rare to get like a winner like straight out of the box and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it can be very disheartening just kind of plugging away and then the numbers don't quite add up.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, it always feels a little bit like screaming into the void when you're just talking on social media, and then when you sort of add in the fact that you're testing those ads that you have to pay for and they don't do any. It's you're not even screaming into the void; you're just chucking money into the void.
Yeah.
No, that's as you said. I think we've had other specific elements of marketing as well. So there's a lot of different aspects of marketing that we could probably get rid of that, and people wouldn't mind it at all.
For sure.
Alex, what about your writing process or the writing life? What would you like to make begone?
Well, firstly, I can sympathise with the waking up in the middle of the night thinking that's how I solve it, and then looking at my phone the next morning and thinking I have no idea what : P means. And advertising, I send out posts on 5 different social media channels and I see 1, maybe 2 people see it and think that's getting nowhere. So yeah, I agree with both of those, but I think mine is far worse, and the biggest hatred I have, which is editing. I can't stand editing. I've written it. In my mind, what I've written is brilliant, and then I give it to my editor and she says, this is the same thing you've said to me 3 times already. I get it. Can you cut 2 of them, please? So I have to go back and rewrite it because I do that all the time. And I'm sure that's where a comma goes. What do you mean that's not where a comma goes? If I was saying it, I'd put a comma there. Are you saying I don't speak properly? Oh, no, I don't. Right, okay, moving on. So what I want to be able to give my money to a wizard and a wizard casts a spell and my editing is done. And I don't need to do any of it at all.
Yeah, I also feel that deeply as well. I mean, these are all issues I'm sure close to all of our hearts, all of our pages and pens and everything. Yeah, there's. Although I would say I think there's certain elements to the editing process that I quite enjoy as well. I think that maybe not the element of no, I'm sure that is where the comma goes, and if it isn't where a comma goes, it's an artistic choice that I've made. It's definitely not an error. Thank you very much. But maybe when you've just squeezed an extra little drop out of a simile or something like that is nice. But I think these are all compelling cases. So we've got forgetting ideas, which again I feel in my bones. The marketing and testing of the marketing, especially, which I mean I really don't like I just don't do it though. That which is the worst part of it. It's like I don't want to engage with that, so I don't. Which means that nobody knows about my books, which is fine because I don't tell them. And then the editing process as well, which there is definitely a huge, I think, large part of it where you finish the book, that's great, and then you look at it and realize you've got another. That's not the end of the process, which is slightly depressing. So, as in my seat as High Arbiter of Truth and Justice, I think this one we're going to make Begone, the marketing and the testing and things like that. I think we'll make that Begone, and then everybody who wants to read this book will then instantly know, instinctively, and deep in their soul, that it's available for purchase.
Perfect.
Okay, so again, 2 strong rounds, and I feel like we're getting rid of big swathes of things, dullness with the non-talking animals, and any stress we have over our beloved pets, and marketing. So again, I think it's great that we're now going to just instinctively know all the books that we want to read. So round 3 is story life. So we're zoning in a little bit more from the writing life into something that our lovely indie creatives here are going to choose from, like their stories or their worlds that they want to maybe erase or maybe undo. Like maybe there's a spelling mistake on page 47 of their first book, or a character that they think actually maybe we could just merge him into that, them into this other character. And as a offering up of myself briefly on this altar of error, I think in my first book I've got people firing arrows, which is a little bit of a exactly, and I think I'm going to change that at some point. But you don't fire arrows, you loose arrows, and I was explaining that to my wife the other day when we were watching a film. I was at Lord of the Rings actually, because it was interesting to me that the Elvish subtitles said release arrows. Presumably because Tolkien knew better than I did and so in Elvish didn't have fire arrows. It didn't work grammatically or something. Anyway, that's the sort of thing we're going to get rid of from our round 3 of Begone. So Stephen, what about you? What would you like to make Begone from that?
Yeah, just the cliche, the rogue typos that make it into the final draft. For better or worse, I've got a habit of reading like books well after I publish them, just to spot check stuff like that. And every time, you'll find something, even if it's not a typo. It might be, maybe it's like a clunky phrase, or as you're reading it when you've not had to look at it for a few months, you think, oh no, that punchline to that joke would have been better if I'd said XYZ or something like that. But yeah, you need to stop editing at some point and just trust your abilities, because you're never going to be satisfied.
I was going to say that feels like what Alex was saying about you're just voluntarily going back in and doing some more editing at that page.
Hire a wizard.
Exactly. Alex, what about you?
Right.
From the editing.
Well, based on the notes you emailed us, I checked page 239 and I couldn't find a spelling mistake. You just mentioned page 47, but I don't think there's one there either.
No, I'm sure there isn't.
So what I want to get rid of in my world is dwarves, because I casually mention them, that they exist, and my plan was to do a story in the future, and I've got stories mapped out in my head in my comedy world for all sorts of different characters. None of them are dwarves. None of them contain the dwarves, and I've got no vision or idea of how I want my dwarves to be or exist. And now it feels like a big chain around my neck, dragging me down, because I just think I've got to mention dwarves again at some point, because I've mentioned them in one book.
Yeah.
And I might have mentioned them in a short story as well when describing another animal. And I'm sort of like, I've got to put them in something soon. And I've just got nothing when it comes to dwarves. So I wish I'd never mentioned them.
Yeah, I can see that sometimes those like offhand things can be really helpful and it suddenly sparks a lot of ideas, but it sounds like it's done the opposite for you almost in that regard. Okay. I like that it's quite a big, that's quite a chunky thing, like world wise as well. Willow, what about yourself?
So mine's kind of related to Steven's in a way. So I would like to get rid of the whole first edition of my Where I Belong book. So this is the second one. It's a bit chunkier now. So that was my first book that I published, and it ended up being a real learning curve because obviously I was I didn't know the proper process, so I hired an editor, but I hired an editor who didn't actually do the job. And it wasn't until after I got hundreds of copies printed, entered it into a contest, that I found out that it hadn't been edited. And it would have been a simple fix of if I had just read it, but like you said, if you reread it again, you keep doing more and more changes. So once it's published and finalized, that's it. It's not like I don't want to read it again, but I just can't because I cringe and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? I want to change this now, but it's too late. So yeah, I didn't check that, and it was literally, it's just not edited. There's typos. There's it's just, yeah, completely, it's terrible. I mean, it's not so like, I still have to sell first editions, and I do, like, if I'm at an event, I'll talk to someone and I'll say it has got typos in there, it's got print errors, and most people are really, really lovely, and they're like, great, it's a first edition, it'll be worth something, and I'm sort of like, I love your faith, thank you. But it's still really embarrassing because there was one group of people who were like, why don't I just get them destroyed? I was like, it's a couple hundred copies, they weren't cheap to print, I have to sell them, I can't absorb that loss. I wish I could, but I do give people a free ebook to say thank you, and also my eternal gratitude. But yeah, if I could just erase that from history, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could feel, yeah, that's, especially if you got the, the printed copies and stuff, and as you say, it sort of feeds into that editing and what Stephen was saying as well, that you can go back and read it, but there's almost, that's an endless loop anyway. If you have to decide at a certain point that you're going to put it down and be like, that's the route, unless you have a wizard, which we've discussed, it unfortunately doesn't exist. I feel that. Okay, so we have dwarves in their entirety. I like to get rid of this, typos, etc. for Stephen, and then the entire first edition of Willow's first book. I think I'm going to go with the first edition of the first book, just because I think I feel more empathetic towards that as a, like, you could, like, I feel like you've also got, in the same way that Alex, you were talking about dwarves being a weight around your neck, I feel like that is literally a weight.
It's a weight in my loft. They're still there.
Exactly. A weight on the boarding of your loft.
Buy my first edition at an event from me, I beg you.
Exactly. We can just save you the pain of that. Okay. But dwarves, I think, was coming in for a close second there, because I think that's such a big thing to have sort of mentioned offhand. And if it hasn't sparked that joy, as I say, sometimes I think that you sort of mention something and it's your subconscious being like, this is really interesting. But if it hasn't sparked that joy, I can definitely see that. So a close second.
A whole race wandering around my comedy world doing absolutely nothing.
I will leave them in there, so that in the hopes that maybe you will spark an idea someday and you will be able to find something to do with your wandering dwarves, such as they are. Okay. Right, so we're coming into this winners round, as we are. So we have, in the first round, we decided to begone non-talking animals. So that was a point for Willow on that front. On the second round, we decided that the marketing and testing of ads and everything was to Begone, so that was a point to Stephen. And then in our third round, we have made Begone the first edition of, which feels rude when I say it like that. Like we've just got rid of Willow's first book. First edition of her first book, which brings Willow to 2 winning rounds. So she ekes out ahead of Stephen for and Alex for the leaderboard there. So the last round is this winner's round for Willow to pick a trope that she can just makes Begone. So because it's the winner's round and Willow just gets to pick, she has free reign. We're also going to ask Willow what her trope is, and then also ask Stephen and Alex, so that if Willow decides that she would rather get rid of a trope that Stephen or Alex wishes to get rid of, then she can do so. She has free reign. She can do what she likes. So Willow, yeah, I'll pass it over to you for what's your trope that you would like to make Begone?
So mine is miscommunication, where the 2 protagonists just, if they just sat down and talked to each other, or just took 2 extra minutes. And I get that it's story building, it's tension, but half the time I just want to literally throw the book out the tube door and just be like, this could have all been avoided. Like, hundreds of people didn't need to die if you had just sat down and talked like adults.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that's such a, I want to say, kind of basic thing that you can do quite badly across like so many different genres as well. Like it's not just, when you said people die, I was also thinking of like mainly rom-coms and things. I was like, I don't know how many rom-coms they've got like slaughtered. Like, oh no, I didn't
just
cheat on my girlfriend.
already.
People are dead. Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, miscommunication as I like how it goes across like a lot of genres as well. It's a very strong, broad trope. Okay, so that's our main trope that you may get rid of. Stephen, what is your trope? So we give Willow the option.
Miscommunication, but since that's already been taken, my reserve choice, maybe it's not so much a trope as a narrative device, but the villain's monologue, the kind of classic James Bond's trust up is captured and the bad guy reveals his plans for world domination and all that. And I get it's maybe more of a sin in film and TV where that has to be communicated somehow. I guess if it's in a book, there's more insight into the villain's mind and headspace, or there's more scope for that insight. But yeah, it often just feels artificial. That being said, I quite enjoy writing scenes like that. So if I've got a villain or an idea for a villain, sometimes I'll make like a separate Word document and just have them just chat, just like talk to themselves or talk to something else that's not going to make it into the final book, but it helps me get my head around their motivations and stuff like that. Sometimes it's just fun to let loose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first draft of my first book actually started as I was just going to do a monologue from the character, and then it turned out the entire book was just in first person, and I just went through it there. So it can just be fun to let loose like that. I also enjoy that monologue seems, that as a narrative device or trope, seems like directly opposed to the miscommunication. It's like direct communication. It's almost too much direct communication from the villain. Alex, what about you? What was your trope to make Begone?
Right. Firstly, I'm going to apologise if this is already in anybody's book. Enemies to lovers. Can't stand it. Shouldn't happen. In my mind and in my experience, and this probably says a lot more about me than anything else, there is a very, very thin line between love and hate, but only when approached from one direction. As Yoda probably should have said, love turns to anger, anger turns to hate, hate turns to hitting each other with swords in the name of revenge. It never goes the other way.
Yeah, I think I feel like that is a trope that a lot of people probably have similar feelings about. I don't know if there's probably a lot of like romantasy that hits that kind of, or romance fantasy that hits that kind of
Oh yeah,
area. So
I'm well aware I've probably just offended everybody that follows me on threads.
oh, it's well, this is what we're here for. We're here for the controversy, for the social media, and you know, that's what stirs the algorithm up, right? So we'll make that the thumbnail. Willow, okay, do you want to swap your miscommunication trope for either of those two things?
I don't know. I kind of do want to stick with miscommunication, but I feel mean doing that.
I mean, this is you have been granted high arbiter of truth and justice status for this purpose. So you know, it's there's no meanness here.
I mean, can we get rid of them all? Is there room for all three?
You've only been delegated it for one trope may go in today.
Cool. In that case, I'm sorry. I am going to stick with miscommunication. Sorry.
That's fair, right? So miscommunication goes in, and to be fair, Stephen, it sounded like you were kind of on that, leaning that way as well. Anyway, so you know that
was me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if we can maybe, you know, miscommunication is how the enemies to lovers thing starts as well, like, or you know, it gets worse. So maybe there's an element of it for everybody, but that rounds up our winners round. So we'll stick with miscommunication. In it goes. It has now been banished forever. Well, that does wrap up our Begone episode for today. So thank you so much to everybody for coming. It's been a pleasure having you, finding out what your gripes and groans with the real life and speculative life is. Hopefully we've made the world a little bit better with now talking animals and no marketing and all the other things we've thrown into the abyss of and made Begone. So now just leaves me to ask everybody to say where people can find your lovely books and your lovely selves across the internet. So I think, Alex, if we start with you, if you let people know where they can find you, find your books, that'd be great.
Yeah, you can find me on pretty much any of the social media platforms apart from TikTok, because I don't know how to work that yet, as a frog in time. And if you want to buy my book, it's full of really bad puns and a fairly decent storyline, and it's on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited for free, and yeah, that's it. Just Amazon, really. I can't afford anywhere else yet.
Well, having the bad puns and the good storyline, I feel like that's the right way around. You kind of want puns to be bad, right? So that's the good selling point. Willow, what about you? Where can people find you and your stories?
So yeah, I'm on most of the socials, but not TikTok as well, because I just don't get it. And I'm not on Twitter now either. So most of the time you can find me as the mousy one, except on Facebook I'm Willow Woods. Or you can find me on my website, willowwoods.co.uk. And then you can get either of my books on Amazon, most online bookshops. They can order it in stock. It is available on things like Gardeners. So also libraries should hopefully be able to order it in. So I'd love to see it in libraries, and also people to support your local library. So if you go in and speak to a librarian, they might order it for you, hopefully.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely do that. Support your local libraries, support Willow. It's a win-win. And now, as we've switched places, Stephen, where can people find you and your books?
You can find all of my books on Amazon. They're currently all enrolled on Kindle Unlimited just now. So I'm Steven McKinnon, Steven with a V and MCK. My website is stevenmckinnon.net, and you can find me on Instagram as author Steven McKinnon, or Steven McKinnon author. I really should know which what my social media handles are. But yeah, drop by, say hello, maybe buy a book, or I'll give you one for free. Yeah. Perfect.
Well, that's great. Lots of places to go and find our lovely authors here and buy their lovely books. And obviously we are Spotlight Indie, so you can find us at spotlightindie.co.uk and Spotlight Indie on various social medias. So come and follow us for lots of other indie stuff, other videos, interviews with other indie creatives. And we've also got a big indie weekend coming up, so keep your eyes peeled for that. We're going to have lots of panels, a few live things as well. It's going to be amazing. And then also we are going to do another physical in-person event this year in Shrewsbury in May. So once again, I'll put there'll be a card with details for that. We're going to be at the Faxmill Holdings. It's going to be a free entry event. It's going to be really fantastic. We're going to have loads of people there. It's going to be, again, the best day. So please do, come along to that if you're nearby. Even if you're not nearby, come along. It's great. So yes, thank you again so much to my wonderful Begone-ists and for showing me all the intricacies of your things that you don't like. And we've now made Begone. And yeah, please, everybody, thank you for joining us, and check out everybody's books and just have a wonderful time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex.